Once upon a time, nestled between whispering woods and sparkling streams, lay fairy tale land. Snow White, princess of this charmed realm, knew nothing of this impending doom. She was not just a princess, she was a protector, a warrior, a beacon of hope against the encroaching shadows.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? Beware, your majesty, a new power rises, a force that rivals even your own. The princess, Snow White, is not as innocent as she seems.
The blood moon approaches, witch. Soon the portal will be within our grasp. Fairy tale land will fall, and from its ashes we will rise to claim our rightful place. Together, they would unleash a reign of terror, unlike anything fairy tale land had ever seen.
The key to their plan lay hidden within the brittle pages of a forgotten prophecy, the prophecy of the blood moon.
The blood moon approaches, witch. Soon, the portal will be within our grasp. But the prophecy also spoke of a protector, a champion who would rise to challenge the darkness.
The first whispers of darkness reached Snow White in subtle ways, a sudden chill in the air, an unsettling silence in the forest.
Beware, princess. Darkness gathers on the horizon, a storm unlike any you have ever seen. Your world is in peril, and you are not prepared for what is to come.
Shaken but not broken by the raven's warning, Snow White knew she couldn't face this threat alone. From the farthest reaches of fairy tale land they came, a gathering of heroes as diverse as the realm itself. There was the huntsman, the seven cousins, and others, too numerous to name. Of all the allies, the huntsman bore the heaviest burden. He had spared Snow White's life, defying the queen. Now he would fight for Snow White, for fairy tale land, and for the chance to atone for his past sins. The seven cousins, despite their differences, were united by an unbreakable bond. Each possessed a unique strength, a gift that, when combined, made them a force to be reckoned with. From Grumpy's enchanted hammer, to Dopey's connection to the creatures of the forest. Snow White and her heroes ventured into the shadowed woods, a place of ancient magic and whispered secrets.
I can feel the darkness closing in around us. Stay close, everyone.
Keep your eyes sharp and your weapons ready. The shadowed woods hold dangers beyond the reach of any sword or axe.
A low growl shattered the silence as a pack of monstrous wolves surged from the undergrowth.
Stand your ground. These are no ordinary wolves. We must fight with everything we've got.
We can do this for fairy tale land.
Silence descended once more upon the shadowed woods, the only sound the ragged breathing of the heroes.
The Whispering Caves. Legend has it that they hold secrets, ancient knowledge that could aid us in our quest. He gestured towards the east, where a faint glow emanated from the base of a rocky hill.
The air grew heavy as they approached the Whispering Caves. The faint glow from the forest intensified, bathing the trees in an otherworldly light. Strange symbols, ancient and indecipherable, were etched into the rock face, pulsing with ethereal light. Even the ever-optimistic Happy fell silent, his cheerfulness replaced by wide-eyed wonder. The seven cousins huddled closer, hands on their weapons, ready for whatever lay ahead. Snow White, her hand on her dagger, took a deep breath and stepped across the threshold. The air inside was cool and damp, heavy with the scent of moss and something ancient. They found themselves in a large cavern, the walls lined with glowing crystals casting flickering shadows. In the center, perched upon a throne of twisted roots and glowing moss, sat a wizened old woman. This was the Oracle, the keeper of ancient knowledge, and Snow White had come seeking guidance. Snow White, her heart pounding, approached the Oracle with a mixture of respect and trepidation. She had heard tales of the Oracle since she was a child, tales of her wisdom and power. Kneeling before the ancient being, Snow White spoke, her voice echoing in the stillness. "Great Oracle, we seek your guidance." A darkness threatens our land. How can we defeat this evil? The oracle inclined her head, acknowledging Snow White's presence. A moment stretched into an eternity as they waited for the oracle to speak. Then slowly the oracle opened her eyes. The temperature in the cavern plummeted, a cold wave of ancient power washing over them. The oracle's eyes blazed with a cold, ancient light. She spoke then, her voice a dry rasp, and the words sent a chill down Snow White's spine. The path to victory is paved with sacrifice. One must fall that many may rise. Beware the serpent in your midst. A figure emerged from the shadows behind them. It was one of the 7 cousins, his face twisted in a mask of hate and ambition. In his hand he held a dagger, its blade glinting wickedly.
The time has come, Snow White. The time for me to claim what is rightfully mine.
A collective gasp of horror escaped the heroes as the scene unfolded before them, too quickly for their minds to fully comprehend.
The traitor, his eyes blazing with a hatred that chilled our very souls, lunged forward, his dagger aimed at Snow White's heart.
I reacted instantly, my reflexes honed from years of battle, moving to intercept the blow, putting myself between Snow White and the blade, but it was not enough.
The dagger, imbued with a dark magic that made it sing as it cut through the air, found its mark, piercing through the huntsman's arm and grazing Snow White's side. A crimson stain bloomed on her white tunic, stark against the pristine snow of her namesake.
My hand flew to my side, my fingers coming away stained crimson. I staggered back, my eyes wide with shock and betrayal.
A low growl ripped from the huntsman's throat, a sound of pure fury and pain as he slammed his fist into the traitor's face, sending him sprawling. But even as the battle erupted around them, a new horror unfolded. The cave began to tremble, the very air growing thick with the sense of impending doom. The crystals lining the walls cracked and shattered, sending shards of razor-sharp glass raining down upon them as the air grew heavy with the smell of ozone and a strange, metallic tang. The oracle, her voice rising above the din, her eyes wide with a fear they had never thought to see in such an ancient being, cried out a final warning, her words echoing through the cavern, bouncing off the crumbling walls.
The blood moon rises, the veil thins. Flee this place lest you be consumed by the darkness.
But even as the heroes, their minds reeling from the betrayal, the battle, the impending doom, turned to flee, a low, rumbling growl echoed from the depths of the cave, a sound that promised not just death, but something far worse. The oracle's words proved tragically prophetic. As the cavern shuddered around them, the floor buckled and split, revealing a gaping chasm pulsing with an infernal crimson light. The air grew thick and heavy, saturated with the stench of sulfur and decay. From the depths of that unholy abyss, a monstrous form began to rise, its eyes burning like molten gold amidst the encroaching shadows. Terror, raw and primal, seized the heroes. Even the bravest among them, their hearts steeled by countless battles, felt a shiver of fear crawl down their spines. This was no mere beast, no creature born of the natural world. This was something ancient, something evil, something that had slumbered for eons, waiting for this very moment to be unleashed upon an unsuspecting world. Panic threatened to consume them, to shatter their already fragile unity. The surviving cousins, their faces pale with terror, their eyes wide with a fear they had never known, gathered around Snow White, forming a protective circle around their fallen leader. Even in her weakened state, even with the blood staining her white tunic a gruesome crimson, she was still their princess, their beacon of hope in this ever-darkening world. But Snow White, her head spinning, her vision blurring at the edges, knew that there was no escape. Not this time. The growl that echoed from the chasm, shaking the very foundations of the cavern, spoke of a power beyond their comprehension. A power that held the promise not just of death but of eternal servitude, of their souls forever enslaved to the will of this ancient evil. As the monstrous form continued its inexorable ascent, its shadow falling over the heroes like a shroud, Snow White felt a surge of defiance rise within her, a spark of the ancient magic that flowed through her veins, a legacy passed down from generations of rulers who had defended Fairy Tale Land from the forces of darkness. She would not fall here, not like this. She would not let this evil, this embodiment of all that was wicked and cruel, consume her world, her friends, her home. She had a choice to make, a choice that would decide not only her fate, but the fate of all those who looked to her for hope. With a strength that belied her wounds, Snow White pushed herself to her feet, ignoring the searing pain in her side, the blood that stained her tunic a macabre crimson. She staggered slightly, her hand instinctively reaching out to steady herself against the cavern wall, her fingers closing around a shard of sharp crystal. Raising her blood-stained dagger, its silver blade catching the eerie light emanating from the chasm, she turned to face the monstrous form that now towered over them, its eyes burning into her very soul. She would fight, for as long as she could draw breath, for as long as her heart still beat with the fierce, unyielding love she held for her world, for her friends, for the very essence of all that was good and pure and right. In that moment of desperate defiance, as the very air crackled with the anticipation of a battle that would decide the fate of Fairy Tale Land, something extraordinary occurred. The drop of Snow White's blood, clinging precariously to her dagger's edge, caught the light of the blood moon filtering through the cavern's opening. It pulsed once, twice, then flared with blinding intensity, banishing the shadows and illuminating the cavern with a light as pure and brilliant as freshly fallen snow. A collective gasp, a mixture of awe and terror, escaped the heroes. The monstrous creature, momentarily blinded by the unexpected radiance, recoiled, its growl shifting into a high-pitched shriek that echoed through the cavern, bouncing off the crumbling walls. Snow White, her hand trembling from the effort of holding the dagger aloft, felt a surge of power surge through her, ancient and primal, flowing from the very earth beneath her feet, coursing through her veins like liquid light. Instinctively, she thrust the dagger towards the monstrous form, towards the heart of the darkness that threatened to consume them all. A wave of pure energy, fueled by the magic of the blood moon, the ancient power of Fairy Tale Land, and the unwavering courage burning in Snow White's heart, exploded outward from the point where the dagger met the creature's shadowy flesh. The cavern trembled, rocks fell from the ceiling, and the heroes, caught in the maelstrom, shielded their eyes from the blinding light, their ears ringing from the deafening roar that seemed to split the very earth asunder. And then, as suddenly as it began, there was silence. The heroes, their vision slowly returning, their ears still ringing, lowered their arms and looked around, their hearts pounding in their chests. The monstrous form, the embodiment of ancient evil that had threatened to consume their world, was gone, vanished without a trace. The chasm, its depths no longer pulsing with an infernal light, had sealed shut, the rock reforming as if it had never been disturbed. Only the faint scent of sulfur and decay lingered in the air, a reminder of the horror they had so narrowly averted. Snow White, her hand still clutching the dagger, its blade now clean and shining, swayed slightly, her legs threatening to give way beneath her. The huntsman, his face etched with concern, was at her side in an instant, catching her before she could fall, his arm a reassuring presence against her back. The surviving cousins, their faces a mixture of relief and awe, gathered around their princess, their eyes filled with a newfound respect for the young woman who had faced the darkness and emerged victorious. And so, the legend of Snow White, Vampire Slayer, was born. Her tale, whispered around campfires and sung by bards in the taverns, became a beacon of hope, a testament to the enduring power of courage, friendship, and the unwavering belief that even in the darkest of times, light will always find a way to shine through.